Welcome to the Life, Legacy, and Leadership podcast, where we talk about life, legacy, and leadership with our alumni and current staff. Today, we have a special guest. This is the man behind everything. Okay, this is alumni back in the day. We'll go through like all his deets of all the time he's been here. But this is the man behind everything. He is our media director. Today, our guest is the Tyler Fincher. All right.
Hello.
Yes. So welcome to the podcast, Tyler. Just to let all our guests know, Tyler is the guy. He's the guy behind the podcast. He's the guy behind the Instagram, Facebook, the internet, the website. I mean, he's anything,
a little bit of everything.
Anything tech, Brookhill. Yeah, when we can get into how you even got here, but right. How we got here was we were like, Tyler, we want you to be the tech guy, and we described that as all things tech, and
yes.
you immediately reminded us that those are not the same thing, Dave.
Correct. It is a very big field, but yeah, if it has a plug and electricity runs through it, I probably have a hand in it here at camp in some way. So yeah.
And that's the way I saw it, is you should know everything.
Right,
if you're
right.
tech-y.
Yeah, every doctor is a surgeon and a kid's doctor and a pediatric, what's the other one? Geriatric, and yeah, it's all the same.
Well, Tyler's been here since he was a camper, but when he came to the current job, he was like, well, Dave, I don't know all those things. I was like, it doesn't matter. You'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out, yeah.
And my prerequisite to Tyler was, well, you know more than everybody else on staff.
Right. Right. It's a crazy thing because, I think that, and maybe that is my talent, isn't necessarily I can do something, is that I can figure most things out if we try hard enough. And you've been very... supportive with letting me try things out, and giving me, go for it, here, tell me what you need and you'll make it happen. But, it's been a lot of fun. It's been quite the journey figuring out, from really the internet project has been one of our biggest growth here at camp. But then just social media is, so much fun. It's such a fun thing to be doing. So,
well, you and I talk about content's everything,
right?
And I talk a lot with Blake Benz. Blake Benz got a podcast. Shout out to Blake Benz.
Right.
He's all about content, and that's just where we're at today. If you don't have content, you probably don't have a business.
Right. No, it is everything for every business. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Especially with, what we've seen with TikTok and some of these small shops, tiny shops, mom and pops that are now multi-million-dollar companies because, they've taken hold of social media. But yeah, no, I think that's obviously been the main focus of my job. The internet and stuff is the kind of the, what do I do in my free time? I fix things and put up computers and stuff. But, the content. And I think, I don't want to brag on us too much, but my teams have been absolutely incredible over the last several years. Just hit 10K on Instagram this year. And so, we're pushing, we're doing media things. I love it. It's great. Yeah.
And some of the videos, some of the reels that we've had this year, gosh, we had one blow up to what, 26, 27K?
Yeah, we've got multiples in the 20Ks this year. I think 26 is where that one's sitting right now, high 26s. So.
And if you're like a major influencer and you're getting like six figures,
right?
You got to understand, for us, it's a big deal. I mean, we're a summer camp. You know?
We're an Arkansas-based summer camp. A state that has about a couple million people, and we're narrowing that down to 12 to 20-year-olds. We're looking at seeing our content, and it's a small market. We're grabbing every bit of it that we can. We're trying to get to everyone we can, and the goal for us has always been getting kids to camp.
Yep.
We're Fun Connection Jesus, and that can only happen here at camp. We're not necessarily looking to spread Fun Connection Jesus through the internet, but we're looking to get everyone we can aware that, hey, there's this summer camp. It's a great, fun place. You can have a safe time. We're aware of what we're doing. So we're small compared to, the Mr. Beast of the world. But that's not what we want to do. That's not where we've been going. And so, we've been very fortunate, and we've been very very focused on the vision, which is fun. So
I love it. Well, as we hang out today, this is going to kind of be a home team podcast.
Yeah.
Because Tyler and I, we hang out every day.
Right.
People always ask, my favorite thing is, what do y'all do in the off season?
Right. Nothing.
Y'all have nothing to do, right?
Or we just hang out all day.
That's right. Or do you ride go-karts? That's what we always get. And right now we don't.
No, we don't. We don't even have go-karts right now.
We don't have any go-karts because that is the biggest new thing that we're doing.
I'm excited about that. It's going to be fun. That's going to be big.
If it wasn't for all the snow and rain right now, we could be pouring this thing. So,
I forgot.
Yeah, they're supposed to have already poured it. So, I mean, this is going to be a big deal. So, so we're not riding go-karts because they're broken right now.
Right. No, it's funny you mentioned the home team thing because like someone talked about it this morning. It was like, oh, you're doing the podcast. Interesting. Like, why are you doing the podcast? And it's like, well, we're like the 10 most interesting people in the world. Like, if you asked anyone else, like, hey, like you can sit down and have a 2-hour conversation with Jason Ross, like,
right?
Whoa, that's so cool. And I'm
right.
like, I don't, Jason, I see him every day. What do you mean? Like, that's not a big deal. We think it's so simple and so daily, but we're a really fun group of people. Our admin team is so awesome. I mean, you've done a great job building the admin team. Such a joy to work with them. So.
Brought on some new fun ones this year, Emma, and I know she did a podcast, and
Ethan, Liv's
Ethan,
been on the podcast.
Liv's a talker. But I mean, we have a really unique team, and the one thing that we talk about, we talked about, who's the smartest person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's always easy. You start thinking, is it me? It was not. You have two types of people. You're like, it's me. Or you're like, oh, it's them over there. I'm an idiot. Right.
Sure.
And the truth is the smartest person in the room is the room itself.
Right.
And so whoever we put in the room, we make the room even smarter.
Right.
And so that's what we've become. Our meetings have become even better, more fun, more creative. The ideas, the breakout. So anyway, we have a good time.
Right.
We have a good time hanging out.
No, love it.
Today's a big day.
It is a big day.
Today is a special day.
Special day.
We are actually recording this podcast on Tyler's birthday.
Happy birthday.
So happy birthday. How old are you, Tyler?
32.
32.
I kind of stopped counting. I had to think about that the other day.
Okay.
Someone else asked me. You kind of just forget,
Right.
and it's not as... There's no milestones anymore. I'm running out of milestones here. So.
And let's do the Brook Hill thing. How many years you been at Brook Hill?
Oh gosh. That's a great question. I did 7 years as a camper.
Okay, so you're a third grader.
Third grader. Came with a friend. They never came back, but I kept coming.
Okay.
7 years as a camper, 2 years as a JC, 1 year as an AC. That's 10 right there. Did 4 years in cabin. Left, and I've been here since 2016. So I did 14 years before 2016.
Okay.
2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So I've been here 22 years, and this will be my 23rd summer.
Come on.
23rd summer.
That's exciting.
That's insane.
That's insane.
23, 32, yeah, that's a lot.
So what got you? Let's kind of take you. Let's talk about the life of Tyler, and then we'll get into where we're at in the media world. So let's just give everybody a little backstory. How did you get here? What's up with that?
Yeah.
And then how did you fell in love with Brook Hill? For those who don't know, Tyler is Mr. Brook Hill. That's what I call Tyler. He is Mr. Brook Hill.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Back to the beginning. My mom has we're from Jonesboro, and we have great friend groups and things like that. And I think one of her friends, Amy Howell, had come as a camper way back in the day. I say wait, but she probably thinks it's not that long ago. But my mom's friend came as a camper, and she was sending her kid and asked a couple of her friends, "Hey, you want to send your kids to camp?" And so me and two or three other guys came to camp that year. I don't know if they had a bad experience or what. I did not. I rolled up. Bill was my first counselor, I believe, Appaloosas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was.
And it was the greatest time of my life, and never wanted to leave. I wanted to come back year after year. And I don't have the best memory. So people are always like, yeah, I had this counselor and that counselor. And I've tried to piece it back together. But yeah, I came back year after year. And it's what everybody says. It's you just could be yourself here, and you just could have fun, and you could just be happy and not worry about things. You just got to be you. And so, yeah, 7 years as a camper. And then it kind of gets not shaky. Because I loved Brook Hill, but maybe wasn't the best candidate to work Brook Hill. Going in, you might even have a little more knowledge on that.
I'll share a
than
little
I
insight
do.
on that later.
But yeah, like, it wasn't ever a doubt in my mind if I wanted to work camp. It was if I could, and not I've got jobs and I got obligations to go to China this year. It wasn't anything like that. It was like if I could, if I was good enough, right? It was kind of that imposter syndrome, whatever you want to call it. But kind of just year after year applied and got hired as a JC, and guess I did a good enough job not to scare him off, or I was a guy, and so I just got invited anyways. But came back my second year as a JC, and that's kind of where I think God started pulling me, because I think He knew I was supposed to be here this long, and for all this that we've been doing. That's when the God story starts. From that point forward, obviously it's all God's plan. But I kind of have a thing that God, if He doesn't have to directly move things around, He'll let His people do. And I was in the right direction for the longest time. But He, we had gone. I'd come to work my 2 weeks. I had 2 weeks off in football, or might have just been, it was 2 weeks that summer. And we were going through the summer. The summer I had left camp, and I was in football. Everyday football practice, and we were good. We were good that year. We went to we didn't know who made the finals, but we went to playoffs. Senior on the football team, all that, doing great. And we go into football practice one Monday morning, and we're in 2-a-days at that point. So this is like ramping back up into the summer, ramping back up for the season. And we work out, and our coach calls us all in. He goes, "Hey guys, great job today." And if you play football, like, you don't miss practice. You don't show up late. You come in and do a little extra work kind of deal to get your spot on the team. He's like, "Hey, guys, y'all did so good today. Take the rest of the week off." And, we're all like, what the heck? Like, one, you almost don't even want to take the week off because you're wanting to practice and go gung-ho, but, like, this is weird. Something's not normal here. And I get home that day, 30 minutes later, get a call from Brook Hill. "Hey, we're down at JC. Can you come work?" And I'm like, yeah. Like, one, I absolutely wanted to, but how would you even say no to that? Like,
Right.
God is clearly maneuvering and working somewhere in this. And so, yeah, show up. That is swine flu.
Whoa.
That is Camp 8, Super Camp.
Yeah.
The JC that is down is the JC that got sick for, JC 1 or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if that's actually true, but that's what I made it in my head, that he was the source, and I came in and replaced him. But yeah, came in, worked that week, and that was a very big week. There was very few people. We were very close. That's where I met Dustin Crow really for the first time, and put me on the path to. I think that's kind of the moment where it was like, "Hey, you're going to be here."
Okay.
And yeah, so that's the beginning years, I suppose.
So that your second summer as a JC? Or was that your first?
Second summer, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I did 1 week my first summer.
Okay.
I went to Boy Scout camp 1 week and camp. So, the 2 week off period of football.
That's right. Dead week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Second summer.
And that was what hooked you right there, swine flu.
Right.
Yeah, I love the swine flu week because, when COVID hit, I was like, this ain't nothing.
We've done this.
We've done swine flu.
Right. Well, it's COVID we could prepare for, right? And we knew it was coming.
That's right.
Swine flu hit out of nowhere, and no one was ready for it.
No, and that's where people actually got sick. And,
right.
Oh, gosh. We had so many counselors that were sick and couldn't work.
Right.
Campers. And
we were down to 4 guy JCs at the end of that week.
Yeah.
4.
That was one of the most unique things. I remember calling all the parents, and gosh, it was like 4 of us in the office calling every parent. Oh, it was crazy. I remember you got different types of parents. Some, I don't know that any came and got their kids, but one was a doctor. He's like, he's fine. They were like, it's all right.
Right.
Anyway, that was a crazy, crazy time. But yeah, so Tyler, and football wasn't the only sport you played in high school.
No.
You were on the bowling team.
I was bowling and wrestling as well. So
I love it.
I've always been that kind of person. I don't know why or what this is about me, but if not if I ask to get signed up for it, but if it's an option, I want to do it. I just will sign up for anything. And bowling, yeah.
Which bowling is what you love it. I love it.
Oh,
Jason,
yeah.
We have our own bowling ball.
Yeah, I'm very competitive. And bowling is like, let's go head to head right now.
Yeah.
and let's compete. You know.
And people laugh at us.
Yes.
Yeah, like got our own ball, our own
The shoes, yeah.
Which my son's taken my bag. He bowled a 180 the other night.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's into. Oh, well, he bowls a lot. He's into it.
Really?
Yeah.
180 is the entry to bowl. That's like if you can do that, you can do bowl. Like you're good. You know,
well,
that's
he loves it.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, got a disciple there.
We will have to make sure he keeps level head on, and he's not, too confident in that. We need to make sure we help him out at some point.
Yeah, I think he's going to be pretty humble. I mean, his dad's pretty humble.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah. So fast forward, you decide after that senior year, you wrote in as an AC.
Yes. So I wasn't gonna, once again back to I didn't think I was good enough, and that one did help me a little bit, being like, okay, there's a little more to this. But Sean Adams.
Yeah, Dr. Adams.
Yes, Dr. Adams. He gave me a line of advice I'll never forget, and I share it with almost everyone I talk to about camp. Don't close doors for God. Let him close doors for you.
That's great.
And I was like, huh.
That's powerful.
That's so good. I was making a decision for what God wanted in my life. Why was I making that decision? Put it in God's hands. If I sign up for camp, maybe I don't get hired, and that is God's decision, and I go on with my life and do something else. But why am I making that decision? That's not my call. So
that's great.
Yeah.
I always tell young people, try every opportunity right now.
Absolutely.
You're young.
Absolutely.
Don't pre-decide. You don't know what you like or don't like. You don't know what you're gifted in or not gifted in. We assume we're not gifted in things.
Right.
Or I think we even assume we're gifted in other things just because we beat the two people in our community out at it, right? There's a bigger world out there than that. But I think we assume that this is what I like or don't like. And I always say just walk through doors.
Yeah.
Walk through doors. Walk through a bunch of doors, and don't assume even at 20 and 22 that you figured it out. You know, just keep allowing the Lord. You and I both work here full time. Both of us never saw ourselves working here full time.
No. It was my dream, but never even thought of it as an option. Never thought it. Yeah, never considered it as an actual option. Yeah.
But both of us just kept walking through the open doors here.
Right.
And then they opened the bigger doors for now we're here full time.
Right.
And I never thought of that until I actually did it. And I think that's probably the same for you.
No, 100%.
And so I think it's important if you're a junior counselor, if you're a camper right now, and you're looking, I don't think I'm good. You have the thing, you thought you weren't good enough to be a JC.
Right.
You have some people that are like, I don't think I'll like being a JC, or I can't fit it into my schedule or whatever. I always just tell people, try it, and don't let those thoughts take you out.
Right. I think a lot of people too, and our world has kind of done this, and not in a negative way, but there's so many pathways now, and people feel like they have to be on certain pathways, and that's just how we are as a society. We like things that are popular. Mr. Beast, and he's incredible, don't get me wrong. But a lot of times I'll watch a video just because it has so many views, and I want to be on that pathway. I want to know what everybody else knows, and I feel like we get in these pathways of, I want to be a this, so I have to do 6 years of internships, and I have to. And you miss what you can do in the I have to's, And I think that is kind of part of my story. I don't know if we want to move into that, where like how I actually got to be hired was I was following a pathway of I have to. I was following that. And let me start by saying my parents are incredible. They've been incredibly supportive my entire life. I love them.
Oh, they're amazing.
My mom sent me a birthday Walmart delivery order a minute ago. She's great.
And I love going to football games with the Finchers.
Yes.
Sitting
in the lodge.
In the end zone. A-State. So anyway, sorry. Shout out to A-State.
Love A-State. But yeah, so I was following this pathway of like, and once again, I'm a very creative person, but my family's done well in security. And what I mean by that is security of, straightforward, narrow path. Walmart is a great company. We'll trust in Walmart, and not being too adventurous, and so like doctor, engineer. Those are very like straightforward paths in life, and kind of was always encouraged to push towards one of those rather than a creative field or something that is, the joke like, I can't make money as an artist or whatever. I've always been pushed towards the more steady fields, and that's not their fault. But yeah, I was following that path and going to A-State, and then I went off to pharmacy school in Memphis at UT, and I loved every moment of it, and I think it kind of built me into the person I am today. I saw a post on TikTok that said that like if you removed all your mistakes, you would erase yourself.
That's excellent.
But
It's so true. Everything
Yeah.
you've been through, I've been through, has built who we are.
right.
And so I think they're always on purpose for a purpose, not the negative side of it, but God will build great things out of that. And that's what
Right.
he did with you.
Yeah. And so, I did the 4 years of all summer staff. Did my head of Hill summer, which 4th year head of Hill is crazy. Now that's an LC position, I guess. But yeah, I did that, and then was moving on. Right, I was moving on with life as I thought I had to. Went off to pharmacy school.
And you were going. You were in that thing.
Yeah, I was going. I was in it. And got into pharmacy school. And I credit the book. I think you had me read 360 Degree Leader to getting into pharmacy school, because I talked about it in my interview. And I turned around leaving, and it's on his bookshelf sitting there, the one book facing forward. And I was like, great.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. But yeah, going to pharmacy school, and I once again thought I had to get ready for pharmacy school. And so I didn't apply that summer, and I sat there. And I say it was one of my worst decisions of my life. Once again, it's okay. It worked out. But I chose to not be at camp when I could have been. And that was a tough thing. Kind of once again closed the door that I shouldn't have closed. Maybe I should have listened to my own advice, but and then was going through pharmacy school, and the next summer I was like, hey, I'm not that busy, and do you guys need any help? And that's when I think God made his second big. Okay, I don't want to say that because the story. I'm not saying God broke anyone's ankle.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but we had hired you to. I think what had happened, it was Nathan Dodds.
Yes.
Nathan Dodds had gotten injured. Was it snow skiing? I think
Something like that.
Something like that. We've had several snow
lot of
skiing.
snow skiing
Ben
injuries.
Brown, Nathan Dodds. Anyway, and so Nate was like, "Man, Dave, I'm gonna be, I'm gonna still be rehabbing that Camp 1. I don't know how
Right.
mobile I'm gonna be."
Right.
And so I was like, "Well, camp counselor, not mobile. Those don't mix."
Right.
And so we brought you in. And we were like, well, maybe he can just be in the cabin. He's young. Let him learn anyway from you, and that'll be a win-win. And you were like, yeah, I can work a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I think you were working for your dad at the time, and your dad was like, sure, take a couple of weeks off. And then that week, the cabin next door, playing basketball,
Yep.
freak deal, Dalton Jones, DJ.
The big layup,
A big layup, lands on a kid's foot,
Yep.
and just a freak deal, turns his ankle and has to have season-ending surgery, like
Yep.
camp season-ending surgery. And it was
Went
like,
on the IR.
so Nate was better camp 2.
Yep.
Dalton gets hurt camp 1, and we're like, hey, Ty, what are your thoughts about shifting over next door
Yeah.
and being the Broncos senior counselor for the rest of the summer? That was what that happened.
Yeah. And that opened the door back up to me realizing you guys were open to old people working, and then 2, me realizing 2 that, hey, I think I should be here and I have to have the time, and why am I not here, And so, yeah, was it 3 more summers just as a kind of an all summer / not admin, but I think at one point I did become an admin or something.
Well, you started pioneering things for us.
Sure.
Right? We started going, well, what if we had this?
Yeah.
And this was the time where we're third generation Brookhill. We were starting to take over and starting to do some things. And we were starting to think outside the box and go, what if? And I think it's important if you're not, you never want to change who you are as an organization.
Right.
But you always want to change how you are as an organization, right? So who we are is always Fun Connection in Jesus.
Right.
But how we do that has to change with the world we live in. And if you want to grow, you can't stay the same systems
Right.
as you are. And that's what we started doing. You were a big part of that. And, you started pioneering recruiting. I mean, Tyler, think about what you did. You pioneered recruiting for us. You pioneered support staff for the guys side for us. Then obviously you pioneered the media. I mean, can you think of it? Those 3, maybe even the house and grounds a little bit.
Sure, and then you can look at the boat driver position, that going from a random person we hired to that kind of more, like you're saying, bring that under the recruiting umbrella.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some more silly things here and there.
Oh,
but
yeah. Well, I mean, admin, whatever. I mean,
Sure.
you could just go things that now are defined positions.
Right.
And of course, how you even got here full time was Stuart Berryhill.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that story because we were sitting there in a staff meeting. I'll never forget it. It was me and Stuart, and we were sitting in an admin office where we were working at a school, and we were looking for teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think it's important to even share how you even got to all that. But
Sure.
but you were available.
Yeah.
Because you weren't. I was like, no, Tyler's in pharmacy. Stuart said, well, what about Tyler Fincher? I said, what about Tyler Fincher? I said, he's in pharmacy school. And he said, no, some things have happened.
Yeah.
And, what happened that blew up pharmacy school? How did you leave pharmacy school?
Yeah, so
Because that was a thing.
Yeah, it was a big thing. And once again,
It wasn't you quitting.
No. Well, no, but yeah, we can go into it. And I always like to, I don't want to credit God for negatives, but this is a big positive in my life. It's gotten me to the job that I love and wanted to do, really. But yeah, I think this is kind of God moment number 3 for me. In pharmacy school, I ended up getting this abscess in my lower back. It's basically I was sitting too much. I was going to school sitting, coming home studying, and then one of my big hobbies is playing games. So I was just sitting. Developed this issue and basically sat out of a half-year pharmacy school, which, if you know, they run systematically, so you can't just hop back in. So you miss a whole year. When you sit a half a year, you're missing a whole year to get back to that point, to get back into the system. So I get back in, and then kind of same thing rolls around the next year. The same problem comes back up. And this time the doctor was like, we can do this again, but you're just going to keep getting this problem the rest of your life. We can do surgery. So I do surgery.
This is back surgery.
Yeah,
and
lower back.
Basically, your back is out.
Yeah, it's dangerous because they're cutting in right next to my spine and cutting this chunk out of me. Basically, they're not working on the spine necessarily, but they're working right next to it. Yeah, so. So we go through the surgery. I'm bedridden for 3 months, and that's kind of where this story picks up with you. Is pharmacy school. My advisors were great, loved them. Essentially, you had to finish pharmacy school in, I think it's 5 or 6 years, and if you don't, you have to restart. You're not kicked out. It's not because you're still qualified to be there, but just the whole process, because they're leading up to your I can't remember I can't remember what it is, the test at the end, and all that. You had to finish in 6 years, and I was already sitting there 3 years in pharmacy school debt. It's not cheap to go to pharmacy school. And I was like, man, my passion just really has never been pharmacy. I was doing this because it was a good job. It was a respected job. But I didn't have any other options necessarily. So I'm laying there in bed, and this phone call that you kind of just described that happens, that you and Stuart had this conversation, and yeah, that's the moment.
I mean, you had your bachelor's degree. I mean, and there's a lot of non-traditional teachers out there who got their bachelor's degree, and we were like, I said, I just know Tyler's if he's in pharmacy school, he knows science,
right?
And we need a science teacher.
Right.
That was my math, right? As a math teacher. But the whole thing was, I didn't just want you to teach because, see, I was working at a school and running camp.
Right.
And so I wanted you for the whole package.
Right.
I wanted you to work at camp, and I think that's what hooked you.
Oh, absolutely. It would have been a decision. If you'd have called and said, hey, we want you to be a teacher, I'd had to think about it.
Yeah.
The moment you said, and work summer camp, there was no question in my mind.
And live at Brook Hill.
Right.
Like it was it was the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm there.
And that's what led to, as you were teaching, your classroom happened to be right outside my office. Mm-hmm. So I was always kind of hopping into your class. And I think I even taught in your classroom. I think I taught
You did your math?
So you and I were together. We were together quite a bit, actually. Sure. And I remember one day looking at Stuart and going, Stuart, what about you? Because we kind of just all worked at camp as leaders, right? It was like, all right, Stuart, what if you went to this recruiting thing? And we started really doing this recruiting thing. And I was like, Tyler, what if you went into this media bent?
Yeah.
And you were like, yes. And that's what, what year was that?
Oh, that's a great question.
2018? 2017, 2018?
Looking at my thing over there. 23, 2, 1, 0, 19.
Okay. So pre-2019, what did we have? We had like a cell phone.
I think
and whatever Connor Odom
I think you're right.
had.
2018.
Okay.
You and Connor Odom, and I think Barnes was just his AC at that time, bought a camera.
Okay.
I think I was a year behind maybe the camera, or maybe you used his camera. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, 2018 is when the first like hiring for media on staff happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was before that. It was phones, and that was it. And then maybe y'all just used Connor's camera that year. I
We
think.
did. We used Connor's camera because the first thing we got was the Canon.
Right.
That was the first photo. The photo camera was the first thing we got because we used the cell phone.
Right.
We bought an iPhone.
Okay. You bought an iPhone.
We bought an iPhone, and we had that girl go around and do the social media with an iPhone.
That's awesome.
And then Connor used his cameras for video.
Right.
So that's what we had.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. It's funny.
And so, then we get a media director in you. Then you start getting vision and direction for art. Here's where this department's going to go.
Right.
And, to see where we're at now.
Right. That has been a. Whew.
I mean, how many cameras we got? What we got?
How many cameras do we have? That is I should know this.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
You should, but we have that many that you don't.
Yes, we have that many that I don't. We have
5 video. I can tell you that.
6 video.
6 video.
Uh-huh. Well, one's a B-roll.
Okay.
That we've never really used that much. So you're fair in saying yes. 5 video cameras that
6
cost you
video cameras.
significant amount of money. We have 3 R6s. 5D Mark III, 90D, 70D, R. So there's 7 main photography cameras, which 2 of them we've really kind of phased out, the 70 and 90Ds. But yeah, so 7 video camera, photo cameras, and
so 13. We got 13 bodies.
Right, and then there's 6 trainer cameras, 8 trainer cameras that we never
use.
Yeah, we did an activity one time. With them.
So we got 20 cameras, and those trainer ones are cheaper, but
right.
We had 20 cameras, and then lenses.
40.
Yeah.
Would be a quick
40
guess.
glasses.
And probably 20 of those are high quality glass. And
Yeah.
It's weird hearing myself say this because once again, 5 years ago, I only had an interest in media for, I made videos with cheap cameras that I had bought and just, on the fun on the side. But now I'm talking about, high quality glass.
Yeah. We went from cabin photos and a camp video to now daily smug mug pics.
Yeah.
And it's insane even to think about what was camp like before when parents couldn't see their kids.
Right. They had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
And not that we're in no contact camp. You can get a hold, if there's a big problem, you can get a hold of them.
Yeah.
But the flow of camp is just have fun and don't worry about the world and don't worry, anything. And it's kind of our flow. And yeah, parents never had any idea. We just showed them a video at the end of the week and said, hey, hopefully your kid shows up once or twice in this, and you kind of see that they were having fun. And,
that's right.
And now we can share with them every day. Hey, look, here's your kid. They're having a great time. They changed clothes today. And,
that's right.
Like
for a new parent, they're coming in having the ability to even contact us and say, hey, I haven't seen my kid yet. Oh, cool. Sorry. And we, we make sure.
Put them on a focus list.
That's right.
And make sure that we are, because, with 400 children, and I had five-ish photographers, and we're kind of bumping that up more. It is hard to make sure we get everyone every single day. But yeah, being able to make sure that at some point, hopefully once a day, you can see your kid and have that. We get a request through emails a lot, proof of life. You can have that security that your kid's having a great time. And we are Fun Connection in Jesus. And I've said that too. The key to my success as the media director, part of it is that I have an incredible summer camp to take pictures of. Kids are having fun. The counselors are great people that are treating these kids well, and their whole goal is to make sure this kid is having fun. And so there's there's no concern on the content. I just had to go out and make sure our cameras are working, and it's going to turn up great, so.
Well, it's just interesting how all this has happened because, when I was a camper, you had your disposable cameras, you developed film, right? Then you kind of had some of the digital cameras, but with the phone now, this is your camera.
Right.
So kids don't, we don't do phones because, when you have the kids that we have for safety reasons, we don't do phones.
Sure.
And so it keeps our kids safe and everything's good there. But because of that, it took away the camera. So then there was no memories. And that was where that was really fun to get to sit down and game plan.
Right. Figure this whole thing out. What does a media team look like at a summer camp? Are we just Instagram? Are we Instagram and YouTube? Are we Vimeo? Are we, what in the world are we? I remember looking through that with you. That was a lot of fun. And I think coming to the conclusion, I think you're right, because that daily photo thing was such a big leap
Yeah.
and such a big decision. But it did come at the right time too. You're saying with the phones and the disposable cameras, and that was when we were making a big conscious effort for CPP, child protection and stuff like that. Our goal is Fund Connection Jesus, and that can't happen with any negative side, any of that bad stuff with child protection.
Right.
And so it came at the perfect time that
That's right.
we pushed this all through. Maybe that was your genius of we need it right now, but
it's always the room.
Yeah.
It's always the room. I mean, when you get 4 or 5 people in a room, you're going to come up with good ideas.
Right.
Because you got to throw bad ideas to find the good ones, and we all just talked it out.
Yeah.
I remember you and I specifically, the whiteboard. We had like 3 whiteboards together.
Mm-hmm.
We put it all out on these marker boards as we were trying to figure out what does this look like and how does it go. And it, because we were doing social media.
Yeah.
Right. But you're only going to get a few kids on social media.
Is your kid the one kid today
That's
that
right.
gets featured?
That's right. Versus with Smug Mug, you can see your kid, and if you don't, we want to make sure that we get that right.
Right.
And
and it's been a huge. That's been the two. I don't know if it's a two-headed dragon or what to call it, but that's been the tandem that has worked so well together. Is okay, we need social media because we need, our business needs it or it'll die, and no one will know we're here. But that isn't really fun. A lot of people had to dump money into social media and hope that they're seeing it come back through, people knowing about their product and their place. But we've had the two-sided dragon that, parents also just want to see 1 million photos of their kid. So now that can be a branch of this, and they can weave together. We have these incredible photos of your kid every single day at every single moment, but that also means we have the perfect pictures for our Instagrams every single day, every single moment.
It's a win-win. It helps with marketing. It helps, parents are happy, marketing's happy, all that's happy. Let's talk about your team a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk. Where did your team start?
Yeah.
And where's it at right now?
Okay, so my team started 2019, I suppose it was, and I could be wrong on dates, so don't quote me.
Yeah.
But
your people are going to be texting you. I was on your team at Disney,
Right.
Sorry, Connors.
Yeah. So started, and the kind of the base was set up. Connor Odom had trained a guy to work on the video. That was Connor Barnes. And so the first year we were like, we got a video guy and we'll do a photo person. And I don't know exactly when it developed into, hey, let's do 2 photo people this year.
I do. Hannah and Brew.
Yeah. I think Hannah maybe randomly expressed interest or something, or told us something.
We were like, add to Brew's team.
Yeah.
It was the Brew team.
Yeah. And so I think Hannah had done, not Hannah, Olivia had done the year before with her with the photo camera. You talked about buying that 70D.
She was really good.
And that's when it was just social media. We hadn't developed this concept yet. And so I think that's what it was. Maybe we were like, we need more people.
Odom was running a bunkhouse.
Yeah.
And doing video.
Right.
And we had brought
Brew in to take Instagram pictures.
That was it.
But then we were like, we got to have a team. We need to grow this thing. And so we hired those 3 people. We were up in that closet, up in this warm little closet.
The old camp office is what it.
Yeah, and we made it happen. That was the talent of those people to make that happen with 3 people. Every time we do something, someone does something, you're like, how did they do this on their own? And I don't know how they did it. They were incredible. Barnes could spit out a video in 5 minutes, and Hannah and Olivia apparently were just sprinting around camp taking pictures.
Yeah.
And we did it. We would drive to McDonald's at night to upload our photos because we didn't have good enough internet at the time. But we made it happen, and it was great. Eventually, that office blew up. Not really. It got hot one day. The air conditioner went out. Our computers all started shutting off. And so we moved down into the old media office, which was a significantly bigger room attached to my apartment. But that's when the team was like, okay, now we can grow. We have room. And I think the next year we had a full turnover. That next year we had some incredible talent coming up, and our people were kind of also getting older and moving on with life. But I think we stayed for 3. I think we stayed at 3 for one more year.
Okay.
This was the Davenport, Michaela,
Margo.
Griffin. So the beginning of modern media, I suppose you could say. It grew to we had that, and that's the year we started doing JCs.
Okay.
So that was the growth that year.
Okay.
Was we started doing JCs, junior counselors. I started training up, learning media.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna lie, it was probably the worst job to have on camp, to be the media JC.
Why is that? Like what?
Well, I'm training a brand new team,
Okay.
so I have no time.
Okay.
I have a brand new team who is learning, so they have no time. And
Okay.
like I said, we're still at this point way understaffed. We didn't realize how understaffed we were at the time.
Right. For our dreams and goals.
For our dreams and goals. And so that person, they could have been incredibly useful. We just didn't have time or ability to know if they were. So a lot of times it was just, hey, stay with me. Let's just see what I'm doing, learn, kind of shadow me. It's not bad. It was very fun and whatnot. And we got some incredible people out of that. I think that's where, and I always joke with one of my people that they've never been a JC, but that's where a lot of our, I think all of our people were JCs, and they fell in love with our team. And then, the next year is when we just started blowing up. That is, I think we went to 4 people the next year. And then, to current day, we are at, it's 8, I believe. 8 full-time, 9 if you count the sound guy. I could be wrong with these. And I think this year we may be, we're 8 again this year, with dreams of going bigger. The problem now is
room.
Yeah. We are out
because you
of
got your
room.
own building. We went from that.
Yes.
We went from that second.
Sorry, I skipped like
bigger
2 years
building.
of growth.
Yeah. We went from that second bigger building till we bought a train car.
Yes. The train car is incredible.
It is. Yeah.
It's the greatest thing you ever bought.
Which is where we are right now.
Yes, we're in a
doing the
train
podcast.
car, a solid metal train car, nothing in, nothing out. It's the greatest. It's such a media building. It's so random and
It is, but it fits.
Yes, it fits so well.
Yeah.
It's this big, long. You'd be amazed how long a train car is.
Yeah.
And when you're sitting here, you don't realize it. If you draw it on paper,
Yeah.
it is
It's a long way down
It's a
there.
straight line. It's incredible. But yeah, we've broken this down into the podcast / office room. So we're meeting. I mean, we sit right here for all of our media meetings. We pull pictures up on the screen and talk about the ISO and the shutter speed, and we discuss pictures right up there. We're looking at a new board this year.
Yes.
That is something that doesn't need to be skipped over. Is while the media team's incredible, you have been instrumental in that because you've supported us and allowed us to grow. Especially reinvesting in us. A lot of people would probably have the media team's doing really good and let's take all this money and we're making money, yay. But I don't know that you've made $1. I'm pretty sure my budget has grown just as fast, if not faster, than the profit we're pulling in from the pictures. And that just goes to the ability to, I'm jumping around a little bit here, sorry, but that we were at 200 pictures a day for a long time. And then it was 200 pictures twice a day. And now we're at, I think, 400 to 600 pictures twice a day. And I think, people, parents can hear that and be happy. We charge a couple bucks for the photos, but every penny that's getting dumped back into this team is now, 8 or 9 all full-time people, me, and then, 4 JCs every week. So we're 14, 15 person team with 14 or 15 cameras being able to run with the lenses we need to reach out when your kid, now we can reach out to your kid that's out on the lake because we have longer lenses. And, we've been able to expand, from, hey, 200 pictures, maybe your kid shows up every other day, to 1,200 pictures in a day. Hey, you should see 2 to 3 pictures of your kid today, and so just the actual, growth of our ability to take pictures. I can't thank you enough for that. I'm successful, but if I was trying to operate under a static boss or a static company, I would not have been able to find that success in my media team. And so, thank you. I know that this isn't about you. This is my podcast.
Yeah, this is the Tyler
Look at
podcast.
me, okay?
It's your birthday.
It's my birthday.
Well, you know me.
But it's part of my story, so,
You and I study Mr. Beast.
Yes.
And that's how he rolls.
Yep.
And so I've listened to a lot of his stuff. And you know me, when you come to me, you're like, all right, here's 3 options. and my question is always,
What's the best?
and that's the one I want to get.
Yes, what's the best?
Because I want, honestly, it does come from Hetty.
Mm-hmm.
Because Hetty's like, we have to be the best. Okay, that was what she always put into us, right? And so for me, I'm a competitive person, so like, all right, I grab a hold of that. And obviously, I know she meant working with kids in how you work in your job, but for me, I take that a step further, and I'm like, how can you do that if your stuff's falling apart? Okay, hey Tyler, I want you to be the best, but you have subpar equipment.
Yeah.
And so that's just not how I roll.
Yeah. It's been great.
And I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And why not? I think Brook Hill's an incredible place to invest.
Oh, absolutely.
And so
absolutely,
we're growing exponentially on the media side.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah. And I want to jump into cameras here in a minute because that's been fun. And I've actually we brought some samples.
Yes.
Samples?
Yes.
Example. I don't know. But I don't want to skip over we talked about the growth of the team and going from kind of old, where we started, Connor Barnes, kind of the old media, jumping into the kind of the new modern revelation, or I don't know. My words aren't the best.
And I appreciate all those people, man.
Right.
The Connors.
Oh, yeah.
Olivia and Hannah and Margot and Michaela and just, for us, it's about the people.
Yeah. It is.
And, I mean, the media team works very close together. And so, like in proximity.
All of the reasons, yes.
Yes,
all
but just, those are incredible people, man.
Yeah.
And God, I did a post for Turkey Day this year, that said, new friends and sad goodbyes. And just because, I mean, we get so close with all these people, and I love seeing them. And anyway, I'm gonna get emo here as we're
those first 2 years they set a lot of groundwork. Kind of like you said, they pioneered a lot. Our video, while it changes every year, Barnes and Odom really locked in what does the video look like? How do we produce this thing? And then, someone was talking about they were worried about applying for media, like, am I going to be okay or whatever? And someone said, where do you go to high school? Oh, Texas High. And it's like, oh, yeah, Margaret Davenport just copy and pasted Texas High to Brook Hill Ranch. Like our file systems and how all of our photos flow through the different Adobe products. So, those people really put a stamp on what does this thing look like? How do we do this? How does this crazy operation take place? But yeah, and they have all gone off, and like you said, we spend so much time in this office together. And when it's the same thing as going through battles as a team anywhere. When you're up at 2:00 in the morning, finishing something that has to be done in the morning, and like that's 10 weeks out of the year, and you're doing that 2 to 3 times a week for that 10 weeks, like. You spend a lot of time with these people, and you really grow to love them, and they really become your family. And I still talk to most of them, connect with most of them at some point to see how they're doing in life. And I talked to Griffin the other day about cameras and things, but it's really cool to see now that we are established and we are pushing this thing. Not the quality of people, but the direction of the people that are in media. Our whole team that just kind of rotated out. They all came into media just as a hobby, and I've touched a camera before, and I think some of them hadn't ever touched a camera at all. But just the quality and the teamwork and the atmosphere of this media office, they've all shifted into media careers now.
Yeah. Odom's in a media career, heading that direction. Griffin's heading in that direction. They need to watch Mayo and Groves' podcast
they're great.
Because they talk about that.
Right.
We were going this direction. We were going that direction. But that's another reason, Tyler, that I want great equipment.
Right.
Because it makes you want to, wow, I get to work with this great equipment.
Right.
And not that we're like Hollywood, but it's good equipment.
Right.
Well,
it removes a limit from your people. You can do great things with shabby equipment. And that's a big thing in the media world. But it removes excuses. It removes limits. It removes a lot of the problems that do come up in the media world, and just frees a person.
It allows them to grow.
Yeah.
If they're not the best yet, the equipment can make up for some of that.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen me.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take the camera
Hey, you're not bad.
sometimes, and I'll go shoot. I enjoy it.
There's a spot open for you anytime.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I've had some really good pictures, but it wasn't me.
Sure.
It's the equipment.
Yeah, you do good. You're not bad.
Yeah.
And I think we understood this year, and with media, you can teach someone to point and click a camera, and like you're saying, the equipment's good, and if you can point and click it, you can teach that. Obviously there's an eye in media that really can't be taught. There's an eye for a picture that has to be a personal kind of internal thing. And this was a big shift for us this year was the person. You don't need the talent, you need the person, right? You need the person willing to learn, and that's how you are with the camera. You're how do I fix this? What's the fix for this?
A lot of phone calls that I give you.
Yeah.
Hey, Ty.
Hey, this lens won't go on here. Is there an adapter on the other camera? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But a willingness to learn, and I know we're really jumping here from the thing, but this is more the leadership side, I guess, of the story. Is as a leader, I learned in the last couple of years to not look for the talent, but to look for the person. Look for the person that's willing to be here, that wants to be on our team, that loves camp, that loves what we're doing. And that is so much more important than a person that has a good portfolio of pictures, And I've mentioned it before in one of my team leads this year. I have 2 team leads this year. One's incredibly talented, and we knew that going in. Her name's Lizzie. She's just an absolute all-star. But the other one hadn't touched a camera, as far as I know, until last summer, and didn't apply to be on my team. And I had no idea she was anything. And
Twice didn't apply to be on your team.
Yes, twice didn't apply to be on my team. But she, wanted to be at camp, loved what camp was doing, was willing to come in, and that's a whole story. And we could talk to her about that at some point.
Oh, she's going to be on the podcast. Don't worry. We're going to have her.
But her name's Sydney, and she stepped up on our team and is now one of the best photographers I know, and did that so in a matter of weeks. Became one of the best photographers I know. Was one of the best workers I've ever had. Just absolutely incredible because she was willing, and willingness is all, as a leader, that's all you really need. You can work through the rest of it if you have the willingness of your staff, and that's a big thing we do here is people. We connect with them, we call them, we work alongside them, we pull them up the ladder, we push them up the ladder, we climb up the ladder with them. Everything you could imagine as a leader we do to encourage our people and push them to be incredible. But yeah.
Well, trust is a scary thing, because we all have things that we would rather do or we want to do. We all have things in our heart that it's like, this is the direction I want to go. And it's hard to trust that God sees it, right? Mm-hmm. It's hard to trust his path. And, this is the path I think I want. Mm-hmm. But here's the open door. Do I trust God that this open door, that I'm going to enjoy that as much as the door I wish was opening? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the hardest thing. It's literally what your life has been. Mm-hmm. It's what my life has been because, working at a summer camp is not a traditional job.
No, not at all.
It's Kyle Hampshire. I mean, people need to watch his podcast. Oh,
absolutely.
I mean, he's a mascot.
Yeah.
And to trust God that the door he's opening and the gifts he's putting, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's that Sydney story. That's why I can't wait to have her on here. But she was literally, I don't want to go too much into it, but she was just crying but now it's her choice to do this because she was trying to shut the door, and God was trying to open it, and it's hard. But trust is the hardest thing.
So hard. It's not easy, and that's once again that's part of my story. And it's funny, you trust God through a door, it works out, and then it's almost like you forgot that you can trust Him,
Right.
And the next door, and you get comfortable every step of the way, and you're like, oh, that was so great. Now I'm good here. I'm glad to this door, and you forget, okay, he's trustworthy with these doors. I need to keep stepping through them. I need to keep opening them up. And not that you take off sprinting and you have to be always going through a door, but just that willingness, to open up those doors. So
it's so powerful. And Ian, Tyler almost didn't get here. I mean, if it was up to me, you wouldn't be here.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah.
If we could end with a good story.
Sure.
So Steve Sexton's running Brookhill, and he's starting to bring me in on the hiring and wanting to know my opinion, which is, if you know Steve, it's not really his style. But So he gives me a stack of papers. It's got you, Crow. It's got some other people in there. And he's like, "Yeah, what do you think of these guys?" And I was like, Tyler's terrible. It's like, don't hire him. And like, I honestly was like, but I was a young leader.
Sure.
And so when you're a young leader, you don't see potential.
Sure.
All you see is lack. And
Right.
Steve's big thing was see the potential before the lack. And
Right.
when you're a young leader, you look in the mirror, you compare people, and you kind of, when you're a young leader, you get one type of personality, and you think that's the personality I'm looking for.
Right.
Instead of I'm looking for a multicultural team, right? I'm looking for multi-personality team,
Sure.
right? And the bottom line was you were a personality we needed, but as a young leader, I was like, don't hire him. And of course, Steve being 5 years older than me, having wisdom, he had finally gained some wisdom, and he was like, no, I really feel good about this guy. I was like, whatever.
Yeah, just to clarify to the people, it wasn't that I was this all-star that you were shoving away. I probably had several red flags that you were fair enough to assume I might not have been the best.
I was not the good judge of character though at the time. So
yeah,
but
we've seen that a lot. There's the all-star that isn't with it, and then there's the not all-star, but they're with it. And there's potential. You're saying there's something there that can be developed, and we're hiring high school kids,
right?
And maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like the older people are getting older slower now.
Sure.
You're still a kid through your mid-20s nowadays. And I think that started in the 1800s. They used to go to war and get married 13, 14.
Right.
And I think that's slowly pushed. And then for a while it was 18, and now 20, 21, and then out of college. And I think now you're looking at adults that are 25, 26, 27 that aren't grown up yet.
Right.
But yeah, we're hiring young people that aren't developed, and it's hard to see that as a leader. So I don't.
What year was that?
Discredit you for
what year was that? So that would have been your AC summer.
2010.
2010. That was 2010. So in 2010, I'm a young leader. You're a young leader.
Mm-hmm.
And here we sit 14 years later.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. This conversation would have happened 14 years ago. Y'all just sitting there saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, man, Tyler, I appreciate you being on the podcast. What a fun conversation. I hope people enjoyed seeing the man behind the media.
It's fun. It's fun stepping out in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I normally don't, and it's not that. That's funny because when I was at camp, I was in front of everybody and yelling and screaming, and then found my happy place.
Yeah.
Behind the camera. So.
We're going to get more from Tyler in the future, but this is Tyler's life. This is his legacy, and this is his leadership. Thanks for being a part.
I love it. It's weird. I don't like the headsets. They hurt.
You don't?
No. We got to get new headsets, Dave.
Okay.
Oh, these things are rough on the ears.